just to add on, I mean, the blueprint is very well written. I mean, I was in the JTA for the collaboration, and I can say that we did our best to make it so, to the point, granular, and contain references. But the DevNet is by far the most. It's very good. It honestly, you can probably go through all the references, and it will take you to pass the test. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I think when I was coming into this, I mean, this I believe in a certain a huge amount of integrity. My dad told me a long time ago when I was a child, he said, if you're going to do something right, do it right the first time, because then you won't have to go back and do it all over again. And it's kind of the approach that I've taken with pretty much, a lot of my life. And when we went into writing these certifications and things like that, we're given the tasks and things, and you're writing the questions, and then we're going back over the questions with, learning at Cisco to make sure that it matches the blueprint, and everything's right, the wording's right, and it's the question is good. You're not writing questions to trip people up and to set them up to fail. No, that is not the objective here at all. I'm going over the questions and things like that, and we're reviewing the questions. So you're not only writing them, you're reviewing them and things like that. And I was working with one of the guys learning at Cisco, and he said to me, "Look, I'm sorry, I keep taking up like 3-4 hours of your day." And I said to him, I don't mind this. I don't mind it at all, because I think if you're putting something out there, it has got to be the best it can be. And so, I'm going to set up my screen until my eyes dry up, until I get this done to the standard I want it to be done. And that's, to me, getting to write the DevNet exams was a huge honor for me to be able to do this. We want you to write this. It's like, wow, thanks. I want to be a part of this. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it with as much integrity as I can. I'm going to make it the best that it can be. I'm going to really look at the questions and the writing of the questions and things like that. So it becomes, when people are taking the exam, they come away thinking, yeah, that was a great exam. I really enjoyed taking that and stuff. That's what I'm hoping for when people walk out of the testing center, pass or fail. They think, wow, yeah, that was a good exam. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's a great point.
2 months' time, and we'll start hearing the first reports, I guess. Well, but it should be good.
Yeah. And to your point about even when they are, they're going to be people that don't pass it, right? That do fail. Yeah. Even when they fail, they walk away feeling accomplished, that it is attainable, that it wasn't a bunch of like bogus questions, right? That you hear people talk about other vendor certification. That's impossible, right? And they just give up, and then they tell everybody else that's not passable, and so they go do something else.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, someone said to me once, passing first time, that's fine. That's really cool if you can pass first time and things like that. But, you're going to take your bruises, and it's like, who's that really cool guy on Twitter? And it's $15,000 lunch, Tony versus CCIE. I can't remember his surname.
Tony E, yeah, I know the guy.
Yeah. And he's literally got the entire Cisco Twitter community behind him.
Yeah, he's going for his fourth time, isn't he? In a week, I think it's a week's time. So Tony, if you're watching this and this video gets out before then, best of luck, my man, because he deserves every good wish that we've got. Yeah, he's top guy.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the point, isn't it? You've got to go through the process. I don't know about the rest of you, but I failed every exam, I think, on the path to get to my IE and my DE, and I think I learned from the process. I grew, and it made me more confident and better at what I was doing. So I think it's a vital importance.
Yeah,
but you've got to be able to, as Rick said, you've got to be able to take the feedback and find the feedback in the result that you get. And if, like you say, you come back and you go, well, I didn't have all the questions I had were nothing to do with the blueprint, or they were worded in such a way they were completely ambiguous, or whatever. Then that's just going to put you off going back in, right? And
it is.
So I can imagine that being quite a daunting task, but something that if you approach it the right way. It should be interesting stuff.
Yeah. So, Stuart, did you have any involvement in the Dev IoT area?
No, I didn't. The IoT one is just a little bit out of my knowledge scope. I worked on 1, 2, 3. I worked on 4 of the exams. Obviously, the associate, the Dev Core, I know a lot about, and I worked on some of the concentration exams. But IoT wasn't one of those ones that I touched, sadly.
Oh, right. Okay.
John has a particular interest in that one, don't you?
Yeah, I've been heavily involved in content development on the Dev IoT course.
Yeah.
So, just questioning purely out of interest to see if you had any involvement on that side of things.
Because he was going to have a quick word with you afterwards, just to
Just get your feedback on his question.
No, but I suppose the only thing I was thinking was you talked a lot a bit earlier about growing your developer skills, I suppose, from that initial point of learning your way and using other people's code and building up, to then finding your own style and learning the right way to do things.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, and I have to put my hands up, I haven't read the syllabus in detail, that the idea here is to take people on that particular journey, right, through the certification process, because that's kind of the point of as Derek said earlier. One way of using the certifications is to give yourself the framework to go on that journey, right? So I'm assuming that we're all about that here, and with the
very much so, and I think
sense.
I think you kind of, as we kind of started off when we were talking about, Ansible and Python, the direction that you're going, I think the certification does give you that direction to go into and to learn some of the things that are being used in businesses and companies today. And it's what you kind of see as the kind of the skills that you're going to need now to keep doing this job, within sort of 5 years time and things like that. You wouldn't go out there and read about Token Ring, for example, unless
Why
you really
not?
had to.
God.
Well, unless you were trying to cure insomnia, or you really hated somebody, and at Christmas time you bought them a book on Token Ring.
I can still hear the clicking of those mouths. Can you guys?
Those mouths.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of the idea, is to sort of enable people to sort of like further their career to what they're going to be doing in that few years time, because as you kind of see over a period of time now, this kind of the buzzword bingo, the DevOps, net DevOps is starting to creep into sort of things. And I've got on my LinkedIn profile and things like that, which, people, recruiters ping you on there saying, oh, hey, I see you've got some DevOps experience, we're looking for this kind of stuff. And then you start to sort of look about, the way that, the jobs and the market's going and things like that. And now it used to be a programmability with things like Ansible and Python and some of the tooling around that as well. Used to be a nice to have. Now it's become mandatory. It's become, you must be, you must be good at this. The wish list for the employer has become a lot bigger.
I think the other thing is that in some cases it's not actually explicitly stated, but if you do have it, then people's ears prick up because they go, oh, hang on a minute, a bit about this automation stuff, and all of a sudden it becomes worthwhile. So it kind of works both ways, I think.
And a lot of companies are thinking about it. You hear I was speaking with a manager at Cisco Live in Barcelona, and he said, although it's not on, he's not listing it down on his job requirements and things. If he sees somebody with that skill set on their resume, it's something they're going to be looking to be doing in 6 months' time. And he thinks, if I take this person on, then I think it gives him a whole more leverage.
I've already got that in my back pocket for when I do need it.
It actually breathes life into this career field, right? So just being able to have it out there, right, and to have people, because to be honest with you, you can have been doing this for 20 years and not really expand your skill set, right? Most of these technologies have been out well over 20 years, right? So it actually breathes life. It actually challenges people who are already employed that are looking at, for jobs that are evolving. And it also provides a bridge, because we talk about this field all the time not being diverse, right? So it kind of bridges and opens up room for minorities and women and so forth to jump on a level where everyone's the same. So I think that having new certifications actually just breathe life into everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not that guy for 20 years that's been working in the city. I'm just saying that it does breathe life into the
No, but you're right, because it's taking gnarly old network engineers like us and giving us something new, but it's also bringing people with an idea of developing whatever into networking, and I think that can only work well in both directions, right? So cool.
So obviously, when some of the exams, right, there's you got to look at code and do some stuff. I mean, and we talked about there's different tools and different, not just languages, but just from like an editor standpoint, right? Is when people are looking at it, is it mainly in Bash when you're looking at taking or do you have access to like Visual Studio or Notepad or Notepad Plus, right? Is there a preferred editor that people can use to do some of the stuff, and as when they're taking the exam in the experience, right? Do you have some of that as a part of it, or you see what I'm saying?
And sadly, I cannot say.
Cannot divulge that information. There we go.
Well, that's one thing, right? Obviously, when you're talking about a new type of, in the past, you could, the other Cisco certs, it was an emulation of the CLI that had a certain set of commands, right? This, with doing different coding and different front ends, right? It's a much different experience, right? And I know that I've had people ask me, well, should I use Visual Studio or should I do this? I'm like, I don't know.
Well, in short, yes, right. I guess,
right.
but yeah, is
that an exam focused question, Rick? Is that exam focused or just any just preference, developer preference focus?
Well, I mean, it's kind of both, but in the context of the certifications, exams, right? As people prepare for that,
because there's element of when you go into some of these exams, there's the simulation element where you're actually going to have to do something, and it's understanding what that experience is going to be. But obviously, we'll find out, I guess, what that's going to be. Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's an interesting question, and it does beg the question. I know further down the line, there'll be the expert certification, and it'll be interesting to see how that's developed through doing the others.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And what form it takes, because and even into the new version of the IE, where you've got some elements of automation going to be required to do that. There's the same question that Rick's just asked applies to that, because it's part of the examination experience, right? What's that going to look like? So interesting. No, it's still so much to find out, right? I suppose we've still got. I'm looking at the date. We've still got 2 months yet before things really kick off. So I'm sure we'll find out more.
Absolutely.
So are there obviously there's more details and content about the exams and stuff themselves as we get closer. I assume there's also more learning content, like official courses and stuff that are also going to drop. Yeah.
The official courses should be out sometime in January. We know that one for sure right now. There's obviously a number of third-party vendors who have been, working on material. I saw the CBT Nugget one drop recently.
We have one on the call.
There you go. Yeah. So that one dropped recently and stuff. That'll be a good one to go over. Nick Russo's done a whole bunch of stuff already. A whole bunch of kind of learning content around that.
Do you know if any are going to be in the Cisco Learning Library and stuff available there?
There's going to be stuff there.
Nick Russo, is he Cisco?
He is, yeah.
He is now, yeah.
I actually watched his video last week on Pluralsight. He actually dropped a CCNA video, it's a precursor, right, on Pluralsight. So there's a lot of information there. I'm just getting caught up with Scrum and so forth, but a lot of information there that's not directly programmed specific is more or less what you need to do to become or to know to become a very well-rounded developer.
Yeah, it is. There's some good content in there that gets you very, very familiar with, the actual, that both the hands-on and the kind of theory side of it as well. Yeah, the structure that's around. So, yeah, I'm also like aware there's besides the Cisco Plus books, you'll expect the usual suspects as well to bring out books as well, following that as well. So normal authors and things like that.
So let me ask you another question, Stuart. Were you in a JTA for the blueprint, or how did you come about with or did you participate in putting the blueprint together for the CCNA?
Yeah.
You were in the JTA?
Oh, not for the CCNA and RS. No, I wasn't in that. No.
Okay, because I started tell people like I was in the JTA, right? And when you go through these people that are making courses and developing books and even Cisco Press books and what have you, everything they get is coming from the original blueprint, which is put together in JTA. So all these things are vetted out already, right? The blueprint, so that people who actually write the questions have a limited amount of, I guess, area, movability.
Scope, right?
Yeah. But you also have to be kind of careful as well, because there is there is some restriction as well with exactly what you can be involved in as well. So, for example, if you're involved in one area of the certification, when writing the DevNet certifications, you couldn't be allowed in another area as well, because this side so intimately, and then you start writing this other stuff. You could pretty much allude to everything you wrote on on this other side of the business into this one. And then just, basically then, you're just writing, because you've seen sort of both sides of it, you're basically just giving everything away straight away. So,
And so, guys, I would, the point I'm trying to make is trust the blueprint. I mean, you guys want to get a head start in studying. All your information is going to come out of what's listed on the blueprint online. If you're waiting for a book, the author just interprets what's in the blueprint and writes the book. So the information's already there if you guys want to go ahead and study.
And go find it yourself. As Stuart's already said, there's a lot of that material already there on DevNet. So
chase it down.
Well, and that's why I asked that question earlier about how close just DevNet as a sole resource gets you, and hearing that, that 95%, I think is gonna, it makes me happy, but
that's
also
awesome.
Makes a lot of people,
it's awesome, right? Because that's a free,
I was expecting
like a
resource,
70-30
right? Answer, honestly.
Yeah. It's a free resource, and you can go. I mean, I suppose that's the beauty of this path is that you've got so much material out there now that's free for this area, and third party stuff as well. So you talked about Ansible and Puppet and blah blah blah. There's so much around those areas as well that you can just go find, right? So right. It's a slightly different model, isn't it? From what we're used to.
Yeah. And that was kind of one of the things of, it was how I became involved in DevNet in many ways, because this was talking about me trying to brute force, things in that manner and things like that. I came across DevNet while I was at a children's party. And
why we didn't start with?
Let's go, Stuart.
So it was at one of these it's like one of these big sort of warehouse hangar things, and there's
soft play centers.
Soft play center. There's 20 kids, 220,000 kids just running around and stuff. Loads of adults, just rows of
lots of E numbers, lots of sweat, and oh my god! If you guys have never seen it, you've probably got.
That's just the parents.
It's true. It's got the grimmest places done to man.
Yeah, you kind of sat there and stuff, and all you can smell is sort of stale vomit and chicken nuggets
and sweaty kids. Yeah. It's grim.
There's seriously, it's a true story. Man sat next to me and stuff like that, kind of shifted his chair up to me. And I believe he was one of the parents of the kids our son goes to school with. And he kind of leans into me and he goes, "Is there any way I can look at that adult stuff and nobody finding out online?" I'm like thinking he's going to ask me to fix his printer. And
that's the usual thing, isn't it? Yeah. You know a bit about IT, don't you?
Yeah. How do I look at the mucky stuff? And
genius.
Yeah, so I was like, So I opened my phone up and things, and I was just having a browse around. I was just scooting over Twitter and stuff, and I came across one of Hank's tweets. Somebody had retweeted one of Hank's tweets, and I took a look at it, and then I followed it up, and I came home, and I was sort of like, oh, this looks good. And I kind of started just jumping into the kind of the content, and what I liked about the content was it was structured, because I was just picking stuff randomly and stuff, but here I could just go from A to B, and it was free. So I could just go from A to B to Z and stuff and follow this through, and it related to what I was doing as well. And it was really peculiar, because the stuff that I did, oddly enough, one of the learning labs that I did, which Hank wrote, I did that over the weekend, and then I took some of that code that it actually wrote and I put it into our production on the Monday.
Interesting.
I put it into the production on the Monday. I was like, because someone was saying, oh, we need to do this. And I was kind of like, light bulb moment. I know how to do this. You know what I mean? Just learned it on the weekend.
Well, there you go. And that's
awesome.
That's what it's about. Right, guys, listen, what an awesome discussion. Really great to get your viewpoint as well, Stuart. I mean, it's always good to get the DevNet guys on board, but it's been particularly good to have a fellow Brit.
Yeah,
but basically putting these guys in their place. So no, much appreciated. I don't know. They've got nothing to say now. Have you noticed?
Are they on mute?
Yeah, I think we've done it. So
no, thanks, Stuart, for everything. I'm happy to be the second best beard on the call. I'm the second best. I'm the third.
Yeah.
We won't even talk about Derek.
No.
I'm still 4 weeks in. This is just 4 weeks in right here.
Yeah.
I'm going to catch you up.
We've got a rich history of beards in my family. If you get together and stuff, most of the women have got longer beards than the men.
Awesome. Well, listen, mate, thanks for your time. Really appreciate you coming, joining us, and we'll hopefully talk to you again soon.
Yeah. See you then. Have a good one.
Thanks for your time.
Take care now.
Cheers.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.